Welcome back to another episode of Everything Imaginable with the Hackley Public Library. I am Christina LeVay-Rowland, the Outreach Programming Librarian.
And I am Mallory Metzger, the Community Engagement Coordinator here at Hackley Public Library.
And this episode is dedicated to something very special, something that I would say maybe no other library can claim.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably true. So today we are going to be talking about the Book of Kells. And it's really special because the Book of Kells is a very symbolic piece of history that has been around for centuries. So the original Book of Kells is actually on display at Trinity College in Dublin, and it is centuries old. It is a very old piece of literature, but we are very lucky because we have an exact replica, a facsimile of the Book of Kells.
And when she says exact replica, she literally means it, because if the original Book of Kells has a hole or a tear or scuff or anything, they recreated it for the copy that we have.
Yes, exactly. And what's really kind of interesting for those that don't know, so the Book of Kells is an illuminated manuscript that showcases the four Gospels. And the original book was said to have been initially created on the coast of Iona, which is an island off of Scotland. But during that time frame, there were a lot of Viking raids, a lot of trouble and turmoil. And so there was one Viking raid that did occur, and monks who had been the ones to create the original Book of Kells, they fled and they grabbed whatever they could, including this original manuscript, and took it with them, eventually ending up in Kells, Ireland, which is in County Meath. And it's actually said to be where the Book of Kells was completed and finished.
So when they fled, it was not complete yet?
That's what's believed to be the case. Yep, they believed that it had not been finished yet. And the really cool thing about the Book of Kells, it is a huge book. It has 680 pages. So this is a thing that would have taken many years to complete. It wasn't completed overnight. And it would have all been hand painted, handwritten. It would have been on vellum, which is calf skinned. Ours is not, but the original would have been. And keep in mind that this book, as I said, it was all meticulously done. It has beautiful imagery. It has imagery of people, animals, all symbolizing something. And then also very unique script.
Yes.
A lot of organic shapes and curvatures, making it really a work of art, not just a piece of literature.
I was just thinking that as well. It's like, even though I can't read it.
Yes, it is in Latin.
Yeah, it's in Latin. I don't read Latin.
I don't
Sorry.
either, unfortunately.
Yeah, shoot.
Yeah, darn.
But it's still a beautiful piece of art to look at, and all of the illustrations are gorgeous. And since it was created by multiple monks, different monks, you can kind of tell they each had their own style when they drew the pictures, or even when they did the lettering. So it's really kind of neat to look at the different parts of the book and see how, I guess different styles come through. It's pretty cool.
It's true. And I've even read that some of the people working on the Book of Kells were as young as 18 years old. So it kind of ranges through, a variety of ages who were, working on this piece of literature. And also, it has been said that not everyone who worked on the Book of Kells spoke Latin. It wasn't their first language necessarily. So if you really look into the book, you'll see that some of the lines are repeated, some of the lines are incorrect in terms of grammar or what they're supposed to say, because people were not always familiar with what Latin was and what the language was. So it was a little bit interesting for those working on it and trying to get everything correct and in tip-top shape. But, if you know what you're looking at, if you know what you're reading, you'd be able to find those discrepancies.
Now all I'm picturing is one of the monks taking over for someone else and just being like, that is not right, and just crossing it off, doing it his own way or something.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, everyone who has done a group project knows that it can be difficult to collaborate, and every once in a while you have that one person who wants to do it their way, and that's just what I'm picturing.
Oh yeah, and you can imagine that probably would have been the case, because there would have been a variety of different people working on this, some maybe more, in tune with it than others. So it would have been an interesting project,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Would have been a neat thing to like travel back in time and just sort of observe.
Oh, I would have loved to have seen that.
I think
you
that
know,
would be cool.
I mean, just seeing the replica that we have is gorgeous, and seeing all the detailing, the intricacies, to be able to see it happen in real time,
Yeah, absolutely.
is pretty incredible. But the thing that's really awesome about this particular book, the Book of Kells, you know, during the time that it was created, it wasn't uncommon to have illuminated manuscripts. There were tons of illuminated manuscripts, but a lot of them did not survive through time. The Book of Kells, that's one of the reasons why it's very popular and well known, is because it did survive over hundreds of years.
Now, when you say illuminated manuscript, can you talk a little bit about what that means exactly?
Yeah, absolutely. So something that's illuminated, it's very stylized, it's very organic in shape, it has a lot of detail to it. So specifically, the Book of Kells has insular majuscule. It is a distinctive, rounded script developed in Ireland and Great Britain between the 7th and 9th centuries, primarily used for high-status illuminated manuscripts. It is characterized by large formal letters with thick downstrokes, wedge-shaped tops on ascenders, and frequent decorative ligatures. In relation to other scripts, this particular style is a development of Roman half-uncial, but influenced by Celtic art, appearing in a highly developed form in the late 7th to 9th centuries. But kind of a fun, scary story, Book of Kells at one point was stolen, and there was no record of who took it, and it actually wasn't discovered until a couple months later. It was buried in the ground. And so it was just by chance that it was found and recovered, which was kind of a miracle in itself.
That's really interesting. And I think I had read that the original Book of Kells was kept in an ornate box.
Yes.
So gold, silver, maybe even jewels. We don't actually know
Yeah.
what the original Book of Kells box looked like because that was never recovered.
True.
Maybe that's what the thieves were actually after, was the box.
Yep.
So we have a box on display with our Book of Kells that's sort of like an idea of what it could have looked like. But I kind of wonder if the person who stole it, if they just wanted the box, if they felt kind of like guilty since it's, about the gospel. So they're like, I'm just going to bury it in the dirt.
Oh, maybe.
That will absolve me of my guilt.
Yes, or hide it away so no one knows. That could very well be. You never know what would go through someone's mind
that's
at
true.
the time when they're doing something like that. But no, you're absolutely right. A lot of people think that it was stolen. The box was stolen for its ornate, jewelry or gold lining or silver lining, something that would have been highly valued.
Yeah.
Whereas the Book of Kells itself was not really valued at the time.
And now it is.
And now
which
it's
is super cool.
Yeah, it's priceless. It's a priceless, artifact that, as I mentioned, is on display at Trinity College in Dublin. It was actually moved to Trinity College in 1661. And so it was at Kells in County Meath for a while after being transported there from Iona, and then transported to Trinity College, and it's been there ever since.
And they've kind of turned it into like a whole experience.
Yes.
Like you can buy tickets and there's like I don't know if they're presenters, but you can like walk through an exhibit of the Book of Kells where they've taken like pictures of the pages and made them like giant life size. So you're kind of like immersed within the Book of Kells, which I think is pretty cool.
I think it's an amazing experience. I mean, I've never experienced it myself, but it would be very cool to see.
It sounds like it would be so cool.
Yeah.
Like a once in a lifetime experience. Get over there and see that.
What's really cool though is you can actually see the Book of Kells online. It has been digitized.
Right, I actually forgot about that.
Yep, it's been digitized, so you can flip through the pages online virtually. You can see all the different artwork. You can see the beautiful curvature of the lettering.
So did you want to talk a little bit about what some of the images within the Book of Kells might represent?
Absolutely. So that's what's really cool too about the Book of Kells. There's a lot of symbolism behind everything featured within it. And something to keep in mind too, the Book of Kells was a ceremonial book. It wouldn't have been something that people would just come and breeze through or browse through at random. It was often brought out for ceremonial purposes.
That makes
And
sense.
just to kind of talk about some of the things that are featured in the Book of Kells, snakes, they appear throughout decorative pages. They often can symbolize Christ's resurrection, akin to a snake shedding its skin and being reborn. Peacocks, they're also prominently featured. They can represent Christ's immortality, based on the ancient belief that peacock flesh does not decay. Lions can also carry significant symbolism, reflecting the story of the lion cub that was revived by its father after 3 days, mirroring Christ's resurrection. So again, it's very symbolic with religion, because it is a manuscript that showcases the 4 Gospels.
Right.
Other things that are featured in the Book of Kells are just symbols themselves, like Celtic knots, things relevant to that culture. You can find them kind of intertwined throughout the book as well, which again is a really cool feature because it does showcase the history of where the book was created, or I should say finished at least. Some animals that are pictured in the Book of Kells include doves. They can represent the Holy Spirit and also peace. Stags appear within intricate symbolic illustrations in the Book of Kells, often nestled among the decorative winding borders that frame the gospel texts. They can represent the natural world, and these creatures are sometimes depicted with antlers forming complex knots, which can symbolize Christian themes of mutual support, charity, and renewal. Now, goats and wolves too also appear in the margins and borders of the Book of Kells, representing part of the diverse everyday fauna that is showcased from that area, and included by medieval monks to depict, along with creatures like lions and peacocks, the manifold workings of the Holy Spirit in the whole of creation. These intricate, often tangled illustrations serve as symbolic Christian iconography rather than just decoration, which enriches the manuscript's narrative and visual language. So really, you can enjoy the Book of Kells fully, even from your own home.
That's true. They've made it very accessible, which is really kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And what is that called? Like a not an archivist, or maybe kind of like someone who preserves those types of things.
Yeah.
Like that's why that type of work is so important. You know, we keep these relics from history that I just think are very important for us to see and remember.
Yeah, and to preserve through time so it doesn't get lost in the shuffle of everything else. And, you know, with our particular Book of Kells that we have, the replica, we are so grateful to be able to have that here at Hackley Library for the community, for visitors to come and see. And it's really a huge thank you to many people for making this happen. The Muskegon Irish American Society, the Friends of Hackley Public Library, Dale Pretzer, who was the director of Hackley Library at the time, and several other donors. They made it possible through fundraising efforts to get the Book of Kells, because it was in the early 90s, I believe 1991, that Trinity College did grant a limited number of the Book of Kells replicas to be made, and I do believe it's under 1,500 copies.
I was just going to ask, do we know actually what that number is?
Yes, I believe it's 1,480 copies that were made. So that's not a lot. If you consider the world and how many copies are out there over, you know, the span of our entire world, that's not a lot.
Right.
So to have an exact replica like that on display for people to come and see at Hackley Library is so special. And we are so grateful to everyone who made that possible. And for it to be on display for people to come and see, you know, in their own backyard, it's really incredible.
We have actually had people travel here specifically to see the Book of Kells, which I always think is kind of neat.
Yeah.
Like I think there was a lady who came, she lived here, but her friend was visiting from, I want to say, Florida.
Yeah.
And they specifically were coming to this library to see the Book of Kells. They were turning it into like a whole day. I thought that was really neat.
That is really
like
cool.
How cool is it that we are a destination for people's like outings?
Yeah, I know.
So cool.
That's another benefit of Hackley Library. It's not only a living, breathing library, but it's a great place to come and just explore, you know, artifacts and history and items. So really, really cool.
Well, is there anything else we could talk about with the Book of Kells, or like things that we think people would enjoy, or should people just come see it for themselves?
You know, I think people should definitely come see it for themselves. I think it's something that you want to see in person. In our Book of Kells, it is behind glass. So, you know, it's not like you can flip through the pages, but keep in mind, we do turn the pages occasionally. So if you come in one time and you see it positioned on a certain piece of artwork, next time you come in, it might be on a different page. And so it really makes a difference, I think, to be able to see it in person. I recommend absolutely going online and seeing the digitized version. We also have books that you can take a peek at in the library that showcase the Book of Kells and some of its history, but really nothing beats coming in and seeing it. And of course, you know, while you're here at the library, you can take a peek at everything else that we have at the library and things coming up too.
Including other cases of really rare older books.
Yes, yeah, that's very true, very true. But yeah, no, we encourage you to come and see this really awesome artifact that we have here at Hackley Public Library. And if you have any questions about it, we're happy to answer and find more details for you. But again, definitely come check out the Book of Kells. It's something you don't want to miss.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in and letting us sort of nerd out about our Book of Kells. It's something that, you know, not a lot of other libraries have, and we're happy to brag on it. So thank you for letting us do that.
Yeah, and we think that you will love to see it in person. So if you haven't already, or even if you already have, come back to Hackley Public Library and see the Book of Kells.
We'll see you at the library. That's a lot of information. Yeah. All right. Now we'll do some sort of like closing thing.
Okay. In closing, that's a lot of info.